What happens when sanctuary policies meant to protect families are turned into shields for violent criminals? What if compassion was weaponized by those who exploit and terrorize?
Sex offenders, murderers, and foreign fugitives trying to evade justice in their home countries. It's long past time to remove these dangerous criminals from our communities.
The top official at ICE in Boston today touting the results of a large-scale operation in Massachusetts. Federal agents in May arresting nearly 1,500 people.
ICE and federal law enforcement partners just wrapped up a month-long surge operation, arresting nearly 1,500 illegal aliens in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
In mid-2025, a month-long ICE and DHS operation in Massachusetts changed the game, exposing how gangs, fugitives, and sex offenders were hiding behind sanctuary laws to evade justice. Nearly 1,500 dangerous individuals were arrested and deported in a mission that redefined the balance between safety and compassion. Hi, before we continue, your one click on the subscribe button fuels all the effort behind this and every future video. Let's break it down, how Operation Patriot exposed the sanctuary system's biggest flaw and restored true protection to communities. In May 2025, federal agents led by ICE in Boston carried out one of the most sweeping operations in the history of Massachusetts, codenamed Operation Patriot. This was not a simple immigration sweep. It was a carefully planned, intelligence-driven effort designed to locate and remove some of the most dangerous offenders who had found refuge in sanctuary jurisdictions. The results were staggering. Nearly 1,500 individuals were arrested, most of them with serious criminal backgrounds. For years, sanctuary advocates claimed these policies offered safety to vulnerable immigrants. But what Operation Patriot revealed was that criminal organizations had figured out how to manipulate those protections to shield their own people. According to ICE and DHS officials, among those arrested were child sex offenders, convicted murderers, gang members, and even fugitives wanted internationally. For example, one 55-year-old Salvadoran national had an active Interpol Red Notice for aggravated homicide, robbery, and kidnapping, yet he was living freely in Lynn, Massachusetts. Another case involved a 32-year-old Guatemalan national and registered sex offender who faced multiple counts of indecent assault and human trafficking. Twice local jurisdictions refused to honor ICE detainers, releasing him back into the community until Operation Patriot brought him into custody. These are not isolated incidents. They show a pattern of violent offenders gaming the system. Patricia Hyde, the acting field office director for ICE enforcement and removal operations in Boston, emphasized that every single person taken into custody was in violation of immigration law. But most went far beyond that. They were repeat offenders with long criminal histories. Her words highlighted the true impact. These criminals weren't just breaking federal rules, they were actively harming communities, leaving victims traumatized and neighborhoods unsafe. The scope of the operation revealed something alarming. Criminal networks were not passively benefiting from sanctuary protections. They were deliberately exploiting them. Intelligence reports uncovered that gangs such as MS-13 and Trinitarios were instructing members to relocate specifically to sanctuary jurisdictions. Massachusetts became a hub, not by chance, but because criminals knew federal detainers would often be ignored by local authorities. Numbers told the same story. Out of nearly 1,500 arrested, 790 had been charged with or convicted of serious crimes in the United States or abroad. Even more disturbing, 27 individuals had already been ordered removed by immigration judges but refused to comply, continuing to live illegally inside the country. Sanctuary policies, originally designed to shield the vulnerable, had instead created loopholes for predators. The evidence gathered during Operation Patriot showed that this wasn't accidental. Criminal networks had a clear strategy. They supported advocacy groups that fought deportations, trained operatives in legal terminology to exploit asylum claims, and even built community support structures to disguise illegal activity. In some cases, they infiltrated legitimate immigrant rights groups to strengthen their shield. This wasn't about protecting immigrants. It was about protecting criminals. Federal investigators also uncovered shocking multi-state coordination. Criminal networks were not only hiding in Massachusetts, but actively using sanctuary jurisdictions across the country as safe zones. From California to New York, violent offenders were being redirected to areas where detainer requests were often disregarded. This transformed sanctuary laws into infrastructure for organized crime. Consider some of the cases Operation Patriot brought forward. A Guatemalan national convicted of murder in Boston in 2020 was still present in the country despite a life sentence, continuing to abuse sanctuary protections. A Brazilian national wanted for drug trafficking by military police in Brazil was living freely after fleeing prosecution, even throwing bricks of cocaine at officers in his escape. These individuals were not low-level offenders. They were high-risk criminals hiding behind policy shields. The operation also exposed how criminal influence was seeping into the political and legal environment. A network of immigration attorneys began offering free services to individuals arrested by ICE, including those with violent criminal histories. While legal defense is a right, intelligence suggested that certain advocacy groups were deliberately supported or influenced by organizations seeking to keep criminals in the country. Kimberly Mila, acting special agent in charge of the FBI Boston office, explained that Operation Patriot was a collaborative effort across multiple agencies, all working with the same goal: protecting communities from habitual offenders who endangered families, friends, and neighbors. She highlighted that the operation demonstrated not just enforcement capability, but also the ability to distinguish between people genuinely in need of protection and those exploiting the system for criminal gain. What's crucial is that Operation Patriot didn't undermine the concept of sanctuary. Instead, it purified it. By targeting violent offenders, federal authorities protected both American citizens and immigrant families who were often the first victims of criminal exploitation. Many immigrants in Massachusetts reported feeling safer after the arrests, recognizing that these predators were not allies but threats. By removing them, ICE restored genuine protection to the communities sanctuary laws were meant to serve. This operation also reshaped the national conversation. Instead of framing sanctuary as a binary choice between compassion and safety, Operation Patriot showed both could coexist. Policies can be refined to ensure that vulnerable people are protected while predators are excluded. Advocacy can remain strong, but with safeguards against exploitation. And federal enforcement can remain precise, targeting genuine threats rather than casting a wide net. The message sent was clear. Criminal networks cannot hide behind American compassion anymore. If they attempt to exploit sanctuary systems, federal law enforcement will dismantle those shields. Operation Patriot demonstrated the capability, coordination, and commitment required to achieve this. With ICE, DHS, and the FBI working together, the balance between humanitarian values and public safety has been reset. Ultimately, Operation Patriot's biggest revelation was that the greatest threat to immigrants seeking safety is not enforcement that removes criminals, but the criminals themselves. When sanctuary protections are hijacked, it is vulnerable immigrants who suffer the most, targeted by predators who hide in their neighborhoods, using them as human shields. By removing nearly 1,500 offenders, federal agencies showed that true sanctuary means safety from both persecution and predation. This was not the end of sanctuary. It was the beginning of a smarter, safer version of it, a version where compassion and security stand side by side, where the heart to protect the vulnerable is matched by the courage to confront predators. Operation Patriot wasn't just an enforcement action. It was a course correction, restoring meaning to the word sanctuary and ensuring it cannot be weaponized again. Do you believe operations like Patriot are the key to keeping both American families and immigrant communities safe from violent predators? The work of ICE, DHS, and the FBI in Massachusetts has shown that enforcement can be compassionate when it protects the vulnerable from those who would exploit them.